The reason why I ask is because we will use those PDAW offices to look for children with disabilities. So it's important that we have that fully in place. No? Aside from, of course, DepEd's schools and principals, but as much as possible, we are trying to lessen the burden of our the lesson of burden giving additional work to teachers and principals. So we will need another machinery to look for children with disabilities. So not all merong PDAW and focal person.
Based dun sa 1,715 po, nasa mga approximately 1,600 po, may mga focal persons naman po.
Okay.
Ang challenge lang po talaga is during mga election time na papalitan sila, so we have to capacitate them
So out
again,
of
sir.
1,700 LGUs, how many have focal persons and offices?
Nasa mga
More or less lang.
1,600 po.
Mga 1,600.
Yes po, sir.
Okay. All right. So meron pang mga 100 plus that are not
Do not have,
operationalized.
sir, focal
Just
persons
submit
po.
to us the list so that we can
Sige, sir, we will
guided.
be submitting it to this officer.
All right. We'll call on EDCOM, Ms. Kay Aninuevo. Any comments to the implementation? Any findings from the EDCOM in regards to the implementation of the inclusive education law?
Magandang hapon, Mr. Chair and Senator De La Rosa. Unfortunately po, in terms of EDCOM 2 findings, we have yet to look into inclusive education. We were supposed to have a meeting last week, pero that didn't push through, but we will still do it po in January. However, I wanted to add po in the last basic education meeting of EDCOM 2, which happened last week, na-mention po yung IRR of RA 11650, and it was brought up na importante po talaga yung issue of data. And it was good po that Director Ariola shared the plans of DepEd in terms of the child find system and database. However, we have questions po regarding the data. So here are the questions po. What is DepEd's data governance strategy to ensure that we have accurate and up-to-date data on our learners with disabilities? Alam po natin when it comes to learners with disabilities, napakalaking issue po talaga ng accurate, reliable na data. And how will the interagency council ensure that yung pre-K data po natin seamlessly connects with our K-12 data? As Section 17 po of the law states, kailangan po yung mga iba't ibang LIS ng different agencies, they need to be connected. And as we know po from our work in EDCOM 2, malaking challenge po talaga for government agencies itong mga information systems. So we would like to ask DepEd if DepEd needs additional support, help. Ano po yung timeline ng DepEd in terms of the database? Kailan po, na-mention po na director yung mga milestones, pero when do we expect that to be in place? And yun nga po, paano po yung coordination with our different agencies? A few follow-up questions pa po, Mr. Chair, if you will allow, not just po on the data system, pero we also wanted to ask po on the ILRCs. Na-mention po rin ni Director Ariola how some components of the inclusive learning resource centers are difficult in terms of face difficulties in terms of funding. So ano po yung mga components na ito na nahihirapan pong i-fund ng DepEd? And pangalawa po, again, in terms of the timeline, kasi Mr. Chair emphasized the importance po of yung timeliness ng ating mga interventions. Ano po ang usual na duration ng pagka-build po ng isang ILRC? At saka yung ngayon po, conversion pa lang po, ano po yung usual na timeline ng pag-convert ng isang SPED center into an ILRC so we can anticipate po yung full implementation. Kailan po talaga mangyayari ito? So we are also sa EDCOM po, we are also doing a lot of research into the infrastructure. Kaya po maganda pong matignan din po yung timeline kasi alam rin po natin na napaka-challenging rin po ang pag-build ng mga structures as of the moment. And we also wanted to ask po, in terms of, last na po na ito na question, Mr. Chair, in terms of the learning materials mentioned by Director Ariola, lahat po ba ng mga materials na ito are already aligned to the new curriculum, to the Matatag curriculum? That's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much po.
Thank you. Director Ayala, you want to respond to that? That's a good question in
Yeah.
sa Matatag curriculum.
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Chair, in terms of the accuracy of data, particularly for enrollment, we're actually working closely with the planning service. In fact, every time they conduct orientation, particularly on the utilization of the learner information system, the Bureau of Learning Delivery, specifically the Student Inclusion Division, would always be represented. If you have noted, there's already an increase actually in the enrollment for school year 2023-2024 because we really needed to guide our teachers in enrolling our learners and tag them to the exceptionality that they're supposed to be tagged. Unfortunately, we heard some information before that for those who were in the mainstream, they were no longer tagged as learners with disabilities. And so because of that information, so we needed to work with them and emphasize that even if a learner is already in the mainstream, he is still a learner with disability. So we're working closely with that of the planning service po. For the ILRC's funding po, if you have noted, when we started converting SPED centers in 2021, we're able to do we were able to complete it in 2022 actually. So usually it would take more than a year. For the first year, we just provided funding for the conversion for the infra. But the following year, that was the time when we provided funding also for the tools and equipment and also the supplies and materials that are needed for the ILRC. And then for 2023, some are still have yet to be completed. There are times, Mr. Chair, that our SDOs are also challenged of some procurement issues. So yun din yung nagiging concern din natin. So, and then another one as to do, I hope I was able to, and I'd like to mention that for the conversion of ILRs, it's no longer the city strand and the Bureau of Learning Delivery that's taking care of this. It's actually given already to the school infrastructure and facilities strand. But what I just learned is that even the conversion now is given to DPWH, Mr. Chair, for 2025. So DPWH will handle. What is left, I think, in DepEd. So this is what I heard. What is left only in DepEd is just the furniture. For all others, kasama na po ang ILRC to be supervised by DPWH po. In terms of learning resources, we have learning resources that are for K-12, but what we're doing now is aligning these materials to the Matatag curriculum. So we're doing some revisions in order for it to be, for these materials to be aligned with the new curriculum. And I have to mention, Mr. Chair, that we are also started in the, for 2024, part of the projects that we have is the development of video lessons also for our deaf learners. And this will continue until 2025 po. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I'll go to CHED because there's also a specific mandate for CHED under the Inclusive Education Law. So, want to hear some updates from CHED? Go ahead, Mr. Reyes.
Good afternoon po, Mr. Chair, Senator Gatchalian, and esteemed members of this body. on behalf of the Commission on Higher Education, we would like to express our full support for the implementation of RA 11650. Specifically, the Commission would like to recognize that the importance of training the pre-service teachers, particularly on equipping them with necessary skills.